Hey, and welcome to day 4. Is it already? Damn. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the nervous system and basically what is it and what has it got to do with manifesting, and basically then how do we regulate it to kind of set us up for success. So the reason this is so important is because the universe from time to time is going to send you little tests. And I'm going to mention this again at the end because I think it's so important. And things are going to happen and life is going to happen because that's just the way it is. We can't control it. We can't, just because we're manifesting our dream life doesn't mean bad things are never going to happen again. It doesn't mean that your car's not going to break down or you're not going to get a massive bill or all these things that are just parts of life. And the thing with the nervous system, and when you can regulate it and when you learn how to regulate it yourself and how to regulate it in the moment, it helps you to make a better decision in that moment. And so when you do get these tests from the universe, when you're trying to manifest like £10,000 a month, and then you get a massive bill for £10,000, when you can learn to regulate your nervous system, you're going to be sending out a different vibration rather than being like, oh God, I knew this would happen. Oh, my money's nowhere to be seen. This stuff isn't working. I'm so frustrated. You're going straight back into that lack mentality, that lack mindset, and sending out that lack vibration. So when you can regulate your nervous system, you're going to start to react differently, but also you're going to have more awareness and catch it much quicker to be like, okay, is this how I want to react? Is this going to actually help me? Is this going to change my life? Is it going to help me get close to my goals? No, it's not. So let me just regulate my nervous system, do the practices that I know that I have in order to calm myself down. Because when we're in, these fight, flight, whatever, we can't find a solution from this space. And there's like some sort of quote, I can't remember what it is, where they basically say like the mind that caused the problem can't find the solution. Only your higher self can see the solution because it was your ego that got you into the mess in the first place, for example. So it's so difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's so difficult to see the solution to your problems, to see the opportunity for success, like we spoke about with the RAS. You're not going to be able to see it when you're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You just won't be able to see it. And so we need to find a way to regulate our nervous system, to calm ourselves down, to bring us back down to alignment, to peace, to calm, because that's where you're going to see the light bulb moment. That's when you're going to see the solution. And what is the nervous system anyway? So I spoke about it a little bit yesterday, but it's the way your brain responds to the environment around you. So when you get triggered by something, when you see something, when you hear something, your brain basically wants to keep you safe and keep you secure. And so if when you were a kid and money was brought up and it caused an argument between your parents, now when you try to bring up money or do something about money or make more money, your brain's like, this is really unsafe. This is going to cause so many problems, so many fights. It's going to break up your marriage with your partner. Like no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. And so you might go into fight or flight or whatever the other ones are, which I'll talk about more in a moment. And when you are dysregulated, so when you're in those fight or flight emotions, spaces, whatever you want to call it, everything feels so difficult. And this is where I did a podcast episode about this actually, where I spoke about discipline and willpower and how when you are simply using those to try and push through and force through and take action and achieve your goals and do the work and hustle and grind, when you're doing that through force and through willpower alone, that is always going to fade. You are going to burn out. You are going to run out of energy, because the amount of energy it takes to push past something that feels really fucking difficult, because you're in fight or flight, you're going to burn out and you're going to run out of that. So then what happens when you're completely burnt out and you're exhausted and you're flat out and you don't have anything left to push through for the next thing? The next time something happens, you can't possibly push through. You're going to give up. You're going to quit. You're going to stop. You're going to lose momentum. Whereas when you are regulated, when you can calm your nervous system, when you can do it in these moments, when you're in fight or flight, you're going to start to take action naturally. And this is something that has always fascinated me when we talk about the subconscious mind and how it's responsible for 95% of our reality. Because if all I can do then is change my subconscious, surely I'm going to take different action, but it's going to be a natural action rather than sitting there with your ego and being like, okay, I want more money. Okay, how can I make more money? Okay, well, if I sell this course and I sell it for this much money per month, then this is how much money I can make. Okay, so everybody else is doing marketing like this. Okay, so let me just copy them and see how they're doing marketing. Okay, now I need to get a course in the algorithm. And that whole process and how it's like snowballed like that and spiraled like that is your ego trying to find a solution. And that can feel really, really fucking hard. And you're like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say. Is this right? Is that right? What's she doing? Whereas alignment and intuition is a very quick download. That's why they call it a light bulb, because you'll be sat there trying to figure it out, and then you get this ping and it's a light bulb. That's your intuition. That's why it's like that. And that's why it happens when you are not paying attention. It's when you're in the shower, when you're walking the dog, when you're driving the car. That's when you get your best downloads, your best inspiration. And it's because you are finally fucking quiet. So your intuition has a chance to speak, but it will drop in. You're not trying to work it out. And that's when it becomes easier. And the more you listen to it, the easier it gets. And I'm going to talk about this more when I talk about inspired action and embodiment in the last couple of days. But that's when it starts to feel easier. You'll just be going about your day being like, oh my God, things are just so good. Everything's working out for me. Lucky girl syndrome. And it's because you're calming your nervous system. And with the lucky girl syndrome, you don't even realize that you're doing it. But when something bad happens and you decide and you change your frequency and you decide, no, everything works out for me, already you're starting to shift things. You're starting to react to things differently, right? This is exactly what it is. And it's working for you rather than working against you once you are regulated. Everything starts to work for you once you're regulated, rather than holding you back and keeping you in procrastination and keeping you stuck. And it's initiating a response to keep you safe. So that's why it's doing it. So I know you're going to get frustrated being like, why have I been sat here for an hour, not doing anything, scrolling on Instagram? Like, it can be really frustrating. You can get angry at yourself, but give yourself some grace, because it is just trying to keep you alive. That is what it's doing. Because if you think about why we have these responses, it's because of when, well, however many years ago, thousands of years ago, when we would have needed it, when there would have been a wild lion, and our body would have to decide, what do we do? Do we run? Do we fight? Do we roll over, pretend we're dead? Like, what do we do? And that's what it's doing for you. The only difference is that the brain doesn't know the difference between going live on Instagram versus an actual threat to our survival. It thinks both of them are the same. So it's looking at that live on Instagram as exactly the same as something that will kill you. So can you blame your nervous system for being like, whoa, hun, we can't be doing that shit because we're going to die? So it's just doing what's best for you. So that's why we have to reprogram it. That's why we have to change our response. That's why this work is so important. So I'm just going to cover what they are. So fight isn't necessarily actually fighting. Sorry. Honestly, I'm needing to do that all day. So fight isn't necessarily actually fighting. It can be when you get defensive in an argument. And you're going to know if you're this type of person, but also you're going to know this type of person. You know, when you have to walk on eggshells because you're not sure how they're going to react, they're acting in fight. And they take things really personally. Now, this is definitely me. My husband can say one thing and I'm like, oh, so you're saying my parenting is bad? And he's like, whoa, no, that is not what I said. I just said I read this thing about how we should do it this way. I take things really personally. So I actually have an element of all of these sprinkled in within me. Victim mentality. I spoke about this on one of my TikToks recently, and I 100% believe that I do this a lot, where I will say things like, everything happens to me. I'm so tired. My kid isn't sleeping. I can't believe this happened to me. And very much like the world is against me. And it takes all of the control away from me, which is so ridiculous when, after doing this whole work, I've literally explained to you that we are in control of our reality. And then freeze is procrastination, one of my faves. Tasks feel overwhelming, but not just big tasks, any task. Really, really small tasks can feel super overwhelming, and I just won't do it, like taking the rubbish out or doing a post on Instagram, like super simple, but I just freeze and like, I can't do this because this isn't safe. You get creativity blocks. So you don't know what to say, how to say it. You know, what do I believe in? How do I even post again on social media? I can't remember. And it can be really hard to make decisions. So you're like, oh, should I say this? Should I say this? Should I take this course or this course? Should I speak to this person or not? And it can be really hard just to make a normal decision. And then you end up taking days and days and days, maybe months, to make a decision that you should have made in like 2 seconds flat. So imagine how much faster your success would spiral and snowball if you were just making decisions constantly like, yeah, let's do this, let's go, let's do this, let's go. Whether they worked out or not, it doesn't matter. At least you're moving. Okay, flight is avoiding tasks. So this is like when people maybe message you about your product that you're selling and then you just don't reply. You're like, oh my God, how can I possibly reply? I really feel this one actually, which is weird. Like you want all the sales, you want all the business, but then when they come into your inbox, you're like, and then you reply like 3 days later. And you might ignore emails completely, ignore messages completely. I do this with, for whatever reason, I'll just like leave parcels in the car for like days and days and days, and then just waiting for the last minute to actually send them. It's just very odd. And it actually causes me more stress because I'm thinking about them for like the whole week. But if I just did it the same day that I packaged it up and put it in the car, then I wouldn't be thinking about it for the next week. It wouldn't be taking up space in my brain, which is a waste of energy. And then avoiding conflict. So avoiding actually having any sort of fight with anybody about anything. And then fawn is having a fear of judgment, worrying so much about what other people think that you actually start to change who you are and you start acting like somebody that you're not, and you start talking differently, saying certain things in different ways. And the way that I kind of see this in my life when it shows up is I'll censor myself. So I might say something and I go to post it, I'm like, oh, what if that upsets this person who believes in this certain thing? What if they take it the wrong way? And I'm trying to work out, okay, well, how does that person perceive me? What do they think about me? And how can I make sure they see me in a good light? However, by doing all of that, I'm not actually being authentic. I'm not being myself, which is my magic. That's how I stand out. It's by being different, not by being the same as everybody else. I'm trying to people please everybody. How am I ever going to find my people and my community if I don't stand for anything? In fact, it's boring. Nobody wants to listen to someone that doesn't stand for anything, that will change their mind and depending on who they're talking to. And it can look like people pleasing and saying yes too much when what you really want to say is no, or what you should be saying is no, because it's not, maybe you can't deliver that project within that timeline, but you're saying yes anyway, so you let them down anyway. Or maybe you know you're so burnt out that you can't possibly take on that one more client, but you do it anyway, and then again you deliver a bad job because you were too exhausted. So when you are dysregulated, these are all the things that you're doing. So these are really good signals to be like, to get awareness of when you feel yourself in the moment. So it could be like you're checking your bank account and your heart's starting to go and you start to feel a bit sick in your stomach and you're like starting to panic, and then you freeze and then you don't do anything all day because all you're doing is thinking about your bank account. Okay, notice it without judgment. Oh, I'm in fight or flight. Oh, I'm in fawn. I'm in freeze. Okay, what can I do about this? And they give me the tools. What are the tools? And then you do one of the tools to get yourself out of it. So how do we regulate? I spoke about these quite a bit yesterday. I just wanted to elaborate on what the nervous system was and how it connects to these things that you're doing, because I really think it's so important for our minds to understand why we're doing the thing. Okay, why am I doing the tapping? Why am I doing the breath work? Your mind needs to understand why this stuff is important, because like I said before, this stuff is so fucking easy that we then avoid it. But if we can understand the importance of it, then we can remind ourselves, like our ego, no, I'm doing the tapping because I'm in fight or flight, which is why I can't make a decision, which is why I'm not moving forward in my business, because I'm not showing up on social media. I'm not listening to my intuition. So these are things that we can be doing. So breath work, like we spoke about, breathing in for 4, out for 8. I did say actually that I would post some examples of the belly breathing breath work that you do lying down for like 40 minutes. So I will find one of those and I'll post it into the group. Walking in nature is a really good one, just grounding, like bare feet in the grass. Vagus nerve exercises, these are amazing. And there's a lot of research into this. So again, feel free to go away and do your own research into what this is and why it's important. But I did a really good YouTube video. I will post it in here. So we're in the Facebook group so you can see. EFT tapping, like we spoke about, on the meridian points, tapping out all the negatives and then doing all the positives. Having awareness of these negative thoughts throughout the day as they're coming up is going to really, really help you. That we have this running commentary all day, every day. And if we are not aware of it, like I said before, we're on autopilot. We're just letting the car drive itself. It's time to wake up and become conscious and take control of the driver's seat. And only through awareness are we going to do that. So you can catch yourself and be like, wait a minute, who is that saying that in my head? Because that's not me. I don't believe that. That's not actually me. That's not my true self. That's not my authentic self. It's my ego and it's my nervous system. So no, I don't believe that about my bank. No, I don't believe that about my job, my business. And continue to do your mindset work, because the more you can kind of understand this, the more you can kind of get your head around certain things around how the mind works, how manifestation works, the more you're going to just slowly be reprogramming all of these subconscious beliefs towards success. There's so many things that I do now out of out of new habits that I don't even realize. Like I will change the conversation when someone slips into something negative, or I'll walk away or excuse myself to go to the toilet or go and get a drink, because these things have just become habit now. I cannot even explain to you. And then there are more holistic things that you can be doing as well, if you are into that kind of thing and if you believe that kind of stuff. Things like Reiki, when they balance all your chakras, crystal healings, like those kind of things, because that's all connected to your nervous system as well. And there are so many other things, but these are just some of my favorites. And these are the ones that I've noticed the coaches talking about the most. Every time I've paid for some sort of course, it's always been with somebody who is a millionaire, and they always talk about these things. And I just want to leave you with some reminders that I think will really help you moving forward, and some things that you can take away and act on now. Take it as part of your homework. So every single day in the morning, I want you to have some sort of morning routine that's going to set you up for success, because how you start your day is how you're going to continue your day. And I don't mean sit there for an hour and do all these millions of things off a to-do list, but what's going to make you feel good every single morning? What's going to get you into a good high vibration? Is it having a dance party with your kids? I find that one really easy, because obviously I do have my son who is priority, and he gets up at 5:10. So there's no way I can get up before him and have a morning routine before him. So he is included in my morning routine. This morning we did affirmations in the mirror. It was just the most wholesome thing in the world. He's only 2.5, and he was copying me and repeating after me, which is actually a huge, huge thing to remember if you have children. Your children are watching you, and you are setting the tone for the rest of their life. You are programming their subconscious mind between the ages of 0 and 7. So what are you programming them with? And this is why this shit is so important. This is why I watch what I'm saying in front of him. I catch myself. If I say something negative, I will show him how I do my regulating. When he's having a tantrum, we do our breathing together. The other day I cried and fell on the floor and was in absolute tears, but I let the tears come, because we need to get these emotions out. They're coming up for a reason, and if they're coming, they're going. So it's a real positive when you're crying. So I let all the emotions come out, and he came over to me. He's like, there, mummy, it's okay. I've got you. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. I needed to cry, and I feel so much better now. Now all that emotion is out of me, and I've dealt with it. And the same thing with him. If he's having a tantrum, I will never ever tell him to stop crying, because all that's going to do is stuff it back down into his body, which I don't want to do that to him. I want him to get all of his emotions out, and then he is absolutely fine afterwards. Of course he is, because he's not going to hold on to that, because once it's gone, it's gone. But catch yourself throughout the day. When are you starting to snowball? What things are triggering you to fall into these patterns? Because that's going to really help you understand as well what's going on. So if it's checking your bank account, okay, there's some sort of money thing going on here. What's going on? What do I believe about money? Okay, journal it out. What's going, like we spoke about with the mark yourself out of 10. And catch yourself in these moments. Be like, okay, what can I do right now to calm myself down? Okay, I can breathe in for 4, breathe out for 8. That's a really easy one, because we can do it in the moment. Are you holding your breath? Breathe. Just take some big, deep breaths. Shake your body out. Shake your arms, shake your legs. Do a dance party, and then maybe go and do your tapping later on when you've got time. And surround yourself with people who are going through this with you. That's why I love this Facebook group, because we're in a community where we're all going through the same things. Sometimes you might be the only person in your friendship group or your family who is on this journey, and that can be super lonely. So go and find your people. Find them on Instagram, find them on Facebook, find them in courses. I'm obviously so grateful with the new skin, because we have each other, and you guys have me. And you have access to me 24/7. So I have so many of my team voice noting me being like, this thing just happened. And they get that chance to vent to me. And then I'm there to be like, okay, right, this is what we're going to do to calm yourself down. This is what we're going to do to achieve your goals. This is how we're going to turn it around. And I'm there for you as you need me. Then podcasts and books, they can be part of your circle as well. Just make sure you're really consuming and surrounding yourself with people who are on the same level that you are on, who have the things that you want, because they're going to keep you on the right path. And give yourself some grace. This stuff is hard, and that's why people don't do it. And that's why not everybody is millionaires and billionaires, because it requires this type of mindset. And I just want you to remember that you are setting the ripple effect, like I said, for your children, for your family, for your friends. When they see you doing this work, and they see you changing your life, and they see you turning things around, you're naturally going to impact them more than you can even believe. And there's people watching you that you don't even know that are watching you, that you're inspiring. And you could change somebody else's life just by doing this work. So I'm so unbelievably proud of you. And I just want to leave you with this one thing that really shifted something for me today when I saw it. It was actually Emma and Flo that spoke about it. And she said, how you respond when things don't go your way determines your success long term. And this is why this nervous system stuff is so, so, so important, because life is going to throw shit at you. Not everything's going to be perfect all the time, and the universe might even test you a little bit to see if you really have changed that limiting belief, to see if you really are willing to act differently, if you really are willing to dig deep and find that strength within yourself to react differently. Because often our ego is so desperately wants to be right. You might really want to scream at your partner because of something, because you want to be right. But how is that helping you long term? How is you panicking and stressing about money? How is that bringing in more money? If that shit worked, we'd all be millionaires. So just understand that that way isn't working anymore. So why would we do it that way? And why not try it this way and see what happens? See what you manifest when you come from a regulated nervous system. So I want you to really think about how you're responding to everything, to what your partner says, when your kid throws a tantrum, how are you being triggered? How are you handling it? Because if you're screaming at your child because they're having their own meltdown and it's triggered something within you from when you were a child, you're in fight. So what are you going to do? You're going to take your deep breaths. You're going to shake your body out. You're going to dance. You might have to take yourself into the other room, take yourself. So you say to your child, you know what? Mummy's just really triggered right now and she's having a little bit of a hard time processing her emotions. So I'm just going to go in the other room. I'm just going to go and shout and dance and really calm myself down. Then I'm going to come back and I'm here for you. And what an incredible, incredible role model you're being for your child when they see you learning how to process your emotions now. Because every time you respond and how you respond, it's going to dictate the ripple effect into your future. So this stuff is just so, so powerful. So have a think about your morning routine. What are you doing every day to set yourself up? In the morning, you could just wake up and be like, hey, what do I feel like doing today? What's going to make me feel really good? It could be having a cup of coffee outside and really just like having a slow morning with your coffee, even if it's 5 minutes, just really taking your time with your coffee. Or it could be having more of a structured morning if you prefer that. How are you reacting throughout the day? I want you to really try and notice these things, really be conscious, really be awake throughout the day and see what's going on with your mind. And then tap in with yourself every single day. Okay, how am I feeling around my intention that I set? I'm going to mark myself out of 10 on the things that Emma told me to do, on the believe, trust, deserve, confidence, those things. Mark yourself out of 10, do your tapping or do your shaking or your raging or your breathing or whatever. Maybe have a look into the vagus nerve, like find your thing that feels good to you. But you have to go away and actually do the homework. There's literally no point in watching these videos and then doing nothing. Knowledge is nothing without implementation. Nothing in your life is going to change just because you know the shit. You have to actually do it. So let me know how you get on. Contact me if you need anything. Really use this Facebook group. I'll be putting more stuff in there as well to really support you and guide you. I know it's a lot to take in, but I promise you this stuff is going to change your life. And I'm so proud of you for doing the work and showing up. So thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you tomorrow.